Hello everyone and welcome to another week of learning. It is week 23 out of the school year. Welcome. I'm coming to you at the end of the day on Monday, February 7th, 2022. I want to give you a quick highlight of today since I need to get ready to go. But this morning we started out with our weekly language review and then we dove right into our new reading unit on Wonders, which is Unit 4, Weeks 3 and 4. So with this particular one, we're looking at historical fiction. So we're still in the social studies kind of theme of passages. And we're looking at inventions and how inventions and technology helps us. So we looked at a read aloud today, along with the essential question and the study sync. And we also went ahead and read the shared read. So tomorrow we'll do a reread of that. I introduced the vocabulary and the reading skills, which we're looking at plot and a couple of other different things. Then it was time for writing. So I wanted to kind of give you a glimpse of what we touched upon in writing and where we're going to continue tomorrow. As you may recall, these are the buckets that we worked on. I kind of showed an example of buckets that my students from last year had created on these same sources. So this is one way that they could have bucketed their evidence, and this is another way that they could have bucketed their evidence. This is on a Jamboard right now. And so we looked back at the prompt because today we were working on writing an introduction. So it's very important that we look back at the prompt and look at those keywords like invasive species and causing problems. So we know to mention those in our introduction so that we are on topic. So with the students, I wrote this first example here as an introduction. This is a scenario. They can start with imagine or picture this. And this one, a student helped me write based on one of the facts that was in one of the sources. And then right now after school, I went ahead and wrote these other four, which are a global statement, a shocking statement, a fact-based question, and an interesting fact. So that students have different ways on how they can start their essay introductions for this particular topic. So tomorrow we will continue working on this and hopefully have the students write their essays, starting with their introduction, focusing on their body, etc. I did give them an informative essay sheet where I want them to rewrite their essay, and I will give them the original essays that they wrote during the time test last week or the week before so that they kind of just take what they wrote and just make improvements on it. This is the informative essay sheet. So I have the prompt up here and they have a section for the introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and conclusion. If there are students that want to write a body paragraph 3, then I will give them a separate sheet of paper so that they can do that. Then in math, we went ahead and finished our review game for chapter 8 so that they can take their test tomorrow. And we did the same thing that we were doing last week. So we just wrapped up that game where we were doing attack the castle and using the wheel of names to call on different houses. And this is the final standing. So River won this time, and then everybody else got second place because they were all tied. And again, this is wheel of names where I just can toggle it and I can add the houses back in so that I can spin and choose who is the team that will answer the next question that was coming from our Go Math chapter review game or review test. Again, the students were highly engaged and it was a really great way to review the test and get them ready for that test tomorrow. All right, so then it was time for lunch and then recess and then PE, and we ended the day with social studies, going back into our TCI curriculum with the slideshow and reading different sections from chapter 6 on Florida history and having students come to the board and answer different questions based on different graphic organizers. Here is one of those graphic organizers. So this one is a timeline where we had to put the year and the key action of each of these explorers. And the students checked their answers and make sure that they were all right before we moved on. Then we read section 4, which went over the positive and negative effects of mission life, Spanish missions. So these were over here and students had to drag them on the T-chart to the corresponding section where they belonged. And again, they checked their answers to make sure they were correct before they moved on. And the last one we worked on is a combination of a T-chart plus a timeline. And basically it showed the fight for Florida, how it went from Spain to Great Britain and France and back and forth until the very end of that chapter, which was 1763, where Great Britain gained control of Florida again. So that's where we left off, and tomorrow we'll finish the last couple sections before the students complete the lesson game and then take the test for this particular chapter so that we can move on to the rest of Florida history, which will be from the Civil War to today. All right, that's all I have for you to share for the highlights of today. I'm going to go to Orange Theory, and I will see you tomorrow. Hello everyone, I'm coming to you at the end of the day on Tuesday, or way at the end of the day, because I just finished an FSA parent night. FSA is our Florida Standards Assessment. So we just had a parent event through Zoom virtually, telling them all about the upcoming state assessments. But I wanted to give you a rundown of how our day went. I was only with the students for the first half of the day because the last half of the day I was in a training for the district and it was very heavy on writing, so I have a lot of information to share with my ELA teachers. So I'm gonna have to meet with them sometime tomorrow or sometime this week so I can let them know all that great information about writing. But this morning we started our day by completing our weekly language review, and then we dove right back into our shared read that we started yesterday, which I'm just going to show you the passage because I'm having a blank moment right now. The passage is a telephone mix-up. So what we did today is we looked at the character, the setting, some of the words that we were going over. We did annotations and we answered the text evidence questions on the margin. So we had really great discussions, and then we also went over the vocabulary, answering these questions as well as going over synonyms. So we ended up going over that and going over the characteristics of historical fiction. We didn't get to do this graphic organizer today, but it'll be done tomorrow. And that was reading. Because Pandora's box was in the passage, we had to talk about allusions. So we started talking about some other common allusions that we may see in literature. We did see the Herculean one in a previous passage, but there are other ones that we went over today. And that was a great kind of like mini lesson in there. Then the students wanted me to read another book using novel effects. So this time we read this book, After the Fall by Dan Santat. If you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. It is beautiful. It is a sequel to the Humpty Dumpty story, and it just has a beautiful message about what happens when you have an accident or when something tragic happens in your life, how you can get back up and move forward. So I highly, highly recommend it. And of course, with novel effect, it just adds that flair that the students love. So that's what we ended up doing. In writing, we moved on to working with our introductions for the invasive species essay. And I showed the students the same thing that I showed you yesterday, which are all the different types of introductions. And then the students started writing. I went ahead and wrote another introduction on the sheet that I gave them to write their essays. And this is the introduction that I wrote. So as of now, I have written 6 different types of introductions for this essay, but at least it gives them some kind of an idea on how they can start. So this is the sheet that I showed you yesterday. So here's my other example of my introduction. And what I did with the other ones that I showed you yesterday, and yes, my students love Among Us. They drew little Among Us characters around there. But I gave this half sheet to them so that they can see all the examples in one place. And I did tell them, don't copy them exactly how they are. See how I did it, see how they're alike, and then choose different aspects of it so that you can write your own. So that is what we were working and writing today. And then in math, it was time for a chapter 8 topic assessment. So the students were taking it. And as they finished, I would check their papers and grade them right there and there and give them feedback, and sometimes even stop to do a little teachable moment and teach them one-on-one about a skill that they may not understand, which is my favorite way to give assessments currently. All right, and then after that, they went to lunch, and then I had my training this afternoon with writing, and we just finished our FSA parent night. So that is all I have for you today. It's already 7:05. I'm tired. I'm gonna go. So I will see you tomorrow. Hello everyone, it is now Wednesday and I need to wrap it up really quickly because I need to get my car to get serviced. But I just finished a PD on Dynamath with Scholastic. because the gifted department is letting us have the digital subscription, which I'm excited for. There's so many resources that are available with Dynamath and so many integrations. Love it. Very excited for it. But the big highlight that I want to talk to you about today is both reading and writing. And in math, we just introduced chapter 9, so there wasn't a lot there. We just did a quick introduction in the chapter and we did a couple of problems. But we spent a good amount in reading and writing this morning, and I'm very happy with our progress. We ended up finishing this character perspective graphic organizer that we didn't get to yesterday. So this was the perspective, and these are the details that the students got from the passage that support this perspective on the character. And we also went ahead and reviewed first person and third person narration, as well as understanding the difference between point of view and perspective. In addition to that, we went ahead and completed our reading response using the sentence starters that are right here so that we can fully answer the question, how does the setting contribute to the story's plot? Then it was time for writing, and we are now moving into our body paragraphs and understanding how we can use the evidence that we gathered in order to fully flesh out a really well-written paragraph. So I took it to sticky notes and the board. So let me show you the first part of the writing lesson. I did spend time taking Post-its, and each Post-it represents a different source. So the yellow one is source 1, the green one is source 2, and the blue ones are source 3. So I just had the students give me all the evidence from the sources that shows how invasive species are causing problems. I put them all down here, and then I had the students tell me how we should categorize them. So we started by categorizing them, creating categories together. We ended up having a total of 4 categories. We did go over the parts of a body paragraph, but I'm kind of digressing a little bit. Let me focus back on what I was showing you. But after we categorized them, we gave it a title. So all these evidence shows how invasive species hurt people. Then this actually showed issues with pet owners, but we discovered that it does not answer the topic, which is how are invasive species causing problems. This is showing how they become invasive species, but not how they cause problems. So we decided to not really use this evidence as of now. And I have one that kind of fell. It goes right over there about fire ants biting millions of people. And this one shows how invasive species can hurt the economy. But then I decided to do the bucket on how they damage the environment. Now I did put all of the stickies that had that evidence there. I will be removing these stickies and just writing it out with a marker so that I can then put this anchor chart up in the classroom somewhere so that students can refer to it. And that way it will be written in bigger way so that it can be seen from far away. But this is one of my Post-it notes, the Post-it charts that have the sticky on the back. So I drew the bucket myself, and then I titled it Damaging the Environment, because that's what these evidence kind of go with. So after we did that, going back to this, we reviewed the parts of a body paragraph, and then I modeled the paragraph with them. So here it is. So we started with our transition with our reason number 1, and that makes up our topic sentence. And then I continued on showing them how we can support that by expanding on it, what we mean by that, using evidence, elaborating on it, and making it all the way to the bottom to fully explain this particular reason. The students were excited that we're working on it, and we will continue to work on it tomorrow. Now for math, I did show them a Flocabulary video to introduce decimals, which is this video right here. And I'm happy to say that the students actually took on to getting to know decimals and the decimal place value pretty well. So let's continue that on for the rest of the week. And then we went on to lunch, and after lunch we were working on social studies. So I actually took the activity that I left for them to complete yesterday when I was in my training, and I reviewed it with them by showing them the graphic organizers from the slideshow presentation that comes with our chapter materials. And then I had them go to that summary page and show them how we can use a flow map to put in order the important events and information that were in the summary. So this is the flow map right here so that they can see how they can organize the information to show sequence of events. And this is a thinking map that I like to use. And also this is the rest of that passage, or that packet, where they're looking at the different effects for these different causes. And they were also looking at different important events and what happened in this particular section. So that's all that we ended up doing for today, Wednesday, but I did forget that I read a book to the students this morning using Novel Effect, and it was one of my favorite books because I really love this person. And that was the book May Among the Stars. Beautiful story, highly recommended. And the Novel Effect just brings it to life, and the students absolutely loved it. And I also took them to see a little clip of One Strange Rock because in that National Geographic show, Mae Jemison is one of the astronauts that offers their input on the different processes of our planet Earth. And it is a show that is hosted by Will Smith, and the students kind of enjoyed that. All right, so that is all that we did for today, Wednesday. Now I will take you on to tomorrow, Thursday. All right, everyone, we are now at the end of the day on Thursday, and it has been a long and exciting day of learning. So let me just jump right in and say this morning the students were doing their Do Now, which was their weekly language review, as well as finishing their flow map from yesterday's social studies lesson that I showed you, and taking their social studies chapter 6 test. Then after that, we jumped right into our passage for today, Moon over Star, and it was amazing, and it gave a little nod to Mae Jemison, so you know what that means. Yesterday when I read the book on Mae Jemison was perfect because today the students were reading about a girl and her family getting excited about the Apollo 11 moon landing, and at the end we find out that the narrator, which is the character in the story, her name is May. So it was a little nod to Mae Jemison. I did look it up and it was exactly that, and it's historical fiction, so it's not really a real story, but it's set in a period of time that is real and making a nod to a real astronaut. Or future astronaut, I should say, because then eventually Mae Jemison did become an astronaut. But because the story takes place in 1969, it made a nod to her eventually fulfilling her dreams, which was amazing. So we were going to go ahead and work on our graphic organizer for character perspective, but we ran out of time. So I'm going to move that activity for tomorrow, but I do have all the posters for that graphic organizer ready to go for each group. And here are the posters. As you can see, it's 4 sheets of paper that make up the entire poster. I have 4 of them here for 4 different groups, and the students will write the perspective of one of the characters in the story based on what the topic or the main event of the story was, and then 3 supporting details that support that character's perspective. And this is one of our Wonders graphic organizer. It is a PDF file that we have, so I just printed it as a poster through the PDF program and put 180%, so it'll come out like this big, which is 4 sheets to make up this big poster. Then it was time for writing, and in writing, we finished the rest of the buckets, and the students continued working on their body paragraphs, which they'll continue to work tomorrow. And tomorrow I will be dedicating a chunk of our writing time to meeting with students so that they can have conferencing to improve their writing. So let me show you these finished buckets. So here's the one that I did yesterday, but yesterday I showed you the sticky notes. So this time I actually wrote out the evidence and I color coded it based on the sources. So here is the other one that the students wanted to work on today, Hurt the Economy. So we did it and did the little color coding here. And Hurt People, which is a very full bucket. All 3 sources mentioned one way or another how invasive species hurt people. So this is a good body paragraph to write to. So we're moving right along with our writing, and next week I'm going to incorporate some color and some other of the tactile things that I like to use in writing, and I like the students to work on so that they remember the different things that they have to work on writing. I'm also working on a little writing flip book because I have one that is old. I'll show you right now, that I created back when we used to do FCAT writing many years ago. So I need to update it and create something new, but for the FSA writing, so students have like a little flip through go-to guide that can help them each time they write, leading up to the writing test. I keep it right here by my teacher desk so I can remember that I need to redo it, and it's so old, it has the papers bent. But this is the writing study guide that I created for them. Before, with FCAT writing, I was showing them the different kinds of grabbers, so I would change this to the different kinds of openers that they can use, how they must write their topic sentence, and instead of doing expository and narrative writing, I will do opinion and informative writing. So here is information on Expository writing, we used to use trees. Now I cut it down to just tree, which I use with both opinion and informative, so that'll be good. And they also have some transitions to use. So this will look a little bit different probably for each of these. And I may even include one of these flaps to just be transition words. And here is narrative writing. So this is TED. That's what we used to use for narrative writing. We used to also use writing skills, which we don't use too much of right now with analytical text-based writing, and how we write conclusions and endings. So again, this has to be updated. And then on the back, I would write things about conventions so that they remember, and the essay scoring, easy scoring rubric, which I have something similar to that. Again, this is something that I'm going to have to update for the FSA type of writing. So let's see when I can get that done. After writing, we were working on math, and on the board, I wrote the place value chart again so that students know where the decimals go. So we wrote all the place value places here, the place value chart, and here's the decimal area. I also had them connected to money. So $1 will be one whole, and then the tenths will be like 10 dimes. So 10 dimes make up $1, and the hundreds will be like the pennies. So 100 pennies make up $1. So in order for this to be a whole, this will have to be all completely filled out, as well as this. So just having the students think of different ways to help them understand decimals. A little bit more practice and they'll feel like they got decimals down. I know it. All right, then it was time for lunch. After lunch, we had some bonus math where I was going over some of their homework, and then they went to art. After art, we had some science. And in science, we were looking at a particular question. How does the height determine the speed that an object travels down a ramp? Each group had a ramp with a ball, a timer, a ruler, and books. They were using their textbooks to create different height levels of the ramp and see how fast it takes the ball to go down the ramp, jot down their observations along with their data, and then analyze their finding. I don't know why I just didn't stop and show you this, but this is the lab that we were working on. So here is the question: how the starting height affect an object's energy. These were our materials, and they started by making a prediction. Then I showed them how to go ahead and jot down their observations. They were doing 3 different tests at 3 different heights to see how fast the ball would take to go down the ramp. And then they analyze and interpret their data. So it was a fun science lesson. The students really loved it. And that is the end of our day. Another thing I forgot to talk about was that this week is Student Services Week, School Counselors Week, and 4th and 5th grade were in charge of getting donuts for our 3 school counselors. The 5th grade level chair got the donuts, and I created the sign, and we all contributed. So we were very happy to present the counselors with the donuts. And this afternoon, while the students were in art, one of our assistant principals was going around with a popcorn machine, popping popcorn and giving it to the teachers with this little note. Just popping by to say thank you for all you do from your admin. That is super cute. And now I gotta go to Orange Theory. So I will see you tomorrow, Friday. Hello everyone, coming to you from Friday at the end of the day, and I'm gonna make this quick because my camera is about to die, so I don't know how much it's gonna hold on. But this morning I came in and I wasn't feeling well. I went up the stairs. Well, before doing that, I was coming in the building and it was like an air bubble was coming up, like an acid reflux, but it was air. I started coughing and it was kind of scary. And then I went up the stairs right after that, and then I was out of breath, feeling lightheaded and like I was gonna pass out. So thank goodness some teachers were there and they were able to help me. The principal checked in on me. Someone grabbed my class while I was trying to recover. They did ask if I wanted to go, but I just wanted to wait until it passed, and it kind of did, but the whole day I was feeling kind of off. I should have gone home in retrospect, but I stayed and I was with the students until I was ready to get the lesson started. I really liked the reading lesson that we did today. They were working on that graphic organizer, which I'm going to show you the example that I did on the board, and then I'll show you 1 or 2 examples that the students did as they worked in groups. And then after that, we went into our math lesson. That was the highlight of the morning. We were just reviewing decimals, relating decimals to fractions and money and equivalent decimals. So then after that, I'm just going to say the rest of the day, we were just trying to just take it easy. PE was canceled, so I didn't get to the rest of what I wanted to plan for today, but just wanted to give you a heads up. I did spend some time right now after school making some new labels for my board, because as you may know, I haven't really been doing an agenda on the board the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to create these labels that I've been meaning to create for a while. So I finally did, and I put up the agenda for Monday. But first, let me go ahead and show you the example of the graphic organizer that I did for the kids, and one or two examples of the ones that they worked on. So using this book that I read to the students on Wednesday, I went ahead and completed this character perspective chart. I did put the title up here with the author. And the perspective of this character is that May wanted to become an astronaut because she wanted to see Earth from space. And these were 3 supporting details from the text that supported that. So then students needed to choose a character perspective from 2 of the characters in the story. How does May feel about the moon landing? May is a nod to Mae Jemison, but it's not technically Mae Jemison, but it goes over the historical event of the Apollo 11 moon landing. And then how does Gramps feel about the moon landing? Because you had 2 different characters with different perspectives on that event. So here's one of the teams that worked on it. They actually did Gramps' perspective on it and wrote their 3 evidence from the text that support that perspective. And this is an example from another team that did this perspective here. They crossed this out, but they went ahead and rewrote it here. And they wrote 3 evidence that support that perspective. I still have some students that need to just check their graphic organizer to make any corrections that they need before I score this assignment, but I'm really happy with the group work that they did, and they need more practice with group work. As I'm noticing the different skills that they kind of need to learn as they try to work together with others. So yeah, that was basically the highlight from today pretty much, and now I want to show you the labels that I created on the board. So here they are. These labels are on magnetic paper, and I went ahead and labeled them because the magnetic paper is matte, so I don't want it to get dirty as I erase the board. But here is what I'm planning to do for next week. Here's writing, here's the math label, then lunch, recess, PE, science, and what we're gonna do. And then I have extra labels as needed for the different things that we may be doing on different days of the week. So I'm just gonna keep them here for now. And I'm very happy with how that came out, actually. Very nice. All right, that is basically all that I have to share for you for this week. I hope you enjoy coming along with me. I'm gonna definitely take a moment to rest this weekend. Take a few moments, a lot of moments to rest this weekend and take it easy because yeah, that was kind of scary. I don't know if it was related to my anxiety, panic disorder, but we gotta take care of ourselves. We really do. All right, thank you so much for coming. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought or any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. It's free. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile. Hello dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you because you are capable of great things. See you next time.